Hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening based on your time zones. Welcome to ZV Salesforce. Today in this video we are going to learn about data flow in LWC. So let's get started. In the previous video we have discussed about API decorator in Salesforce and how can we use the API decorator. API decorator can be used if you want to exchange data between parent and child components, like if there is a parent component, say explore parent decorators, and you want to send some data from explore parent decorators to a child component, say here explore decorators. Uh, in order to send data from a parent component to the child component, we can use API decorator. And another use of API decorator is if you want to call any method in a child component. Uh, in our example, if we consider parent decorator is the parent component and child explore decorators is the child component. In the explore decorators, there is a method call me. If you want to access that method, if you want to call that method from the parent JS and from the parent component JS, you need to annotate the method that is present in the child component with @API. These are the two use cases with which @API decorator uh, is used. And as of now, we have covered two decorators. Those are API decorator and track decorator. In this episode, we'll be discussing about data flow, how data flows from parent component to the child component. We'll see those things. So if you see in the explore parent decorators.js, here I have declared a variable like data from parent, and to that we are setting a data as this is shown in child component, data from parent. And if you see here, we have on line number 4, see explore decorators. We are trying to embed a child component in this explore parent decorators, and to that there is an attribute like from parent. In explore decorators, there will be attribute from parent that will receive data from the parent component variable, that is data from parent. And this from parent will be declared in explore decorators. I will show that as well. From parent, and it is annotated with @API. Uh, as it is a global variable or a public property, it is annotated with @API. That's why we are able to access this from parent in the parent component itself. Yeah, here there are some points to be noted in this data flow concept. If you see clearly here in the child component from parent variable, we have declared it as test data, but we are setting some data to that from the parent. If you see here, data from parent, we are passing it to store it in from parent variable. What is the data that we are passing from parent component is this is shown in the child component. But in the child component also, you are trying to set some data to the same variable to which data is passed from the parent. Now, in LWC, what will happen is the properties or the variables that are declared in the child component with @API, those are immutable and those cannot be updated. Even if you declare from parent with test data in the child component, it will still takes the value from the parent component itself. That is, see, in the child component, we are trying to show the data that we are getting received from the parent component. This from parent is the property with @API. To that data is passed from the parent component. Let me refresh this page. We move back once to parent decorator.js. In parent decorator.html, what we have, we have a lightning card, we have a lightning button. We have explore decorators child component embedded here, and this lightning button will call a method in the child component. Okay, and we have rendered child component in the explore parent decorators, and in the child component explore decorators HTML we have nothing but we have a statement data from parent is the data is being displayed here. See, if you notice here, data from parent is that is showing as this is shown from the child component. The data that we have passed from the parent component is being shown in the child component. The variable or the value, the initial declaration that we have defined from parent is being overridden with the value that is passed from the parent component. This is one key point that needs to be noted. And in all modern JavaScript frameworks, data passes from parent component to the child component. That is the standard process in all modern JavaScript frameworks. Like you can have a scenario in real time, like you want to update the data that is passed from the parent component. Here in our case, that is mm, from parent, the value that we are setting into from parent. If you want to update the data, then there is no straight way in order to get the data updated. Comes a concept like custom events. Custom events in JS LWC. In order to update any variable, say from parent variable cannot be updated directly here. What you need to do is you need to fire a custom event to parent component. Custom event needs to be fired to parent component. Data updates needs to be done there in parent. Updated results will be passed to child. The gist here is data transfers from parent component to child component only in one direction. If you want to update the value that is passed from the parent component to child component, here in our example, that is from parent variable. If you want this data to be updated in the from parent variable, what you need to do is you need to fire a custom event from this child component, and in that custom event you need to pass this variable, and that particular data in that variable needs to be updated in the parent component, and that value needs to be returned back. That is the flow that will happen, like when you want to do any changes in the variable that is declared in the child, when you are receiving data to that particular variable from the parent component. Values declared with the API variable in the child components will be overridden by the values passed from the parent. This is the first point I was discussing. Like when a value is passed from a parent component, here in our case, data from parent is the variable that is set in the parent component, and the child in the child component we are receiving the value as from parent. From parent is the variable that we are receiving data from the uh, like what it is passing from the parent component, we are receiving it as in from parent variable. Values declared with API variable in child components will be overridden by the values passed from the parent. Yes, that is second one. In all modern JavaScript frameworks, data flows from parent to child component. Yeah. And the third and the fourth points we have already discussed. Data passed from parent to child cannot be updated or mutated. They can be done only using custom event. We go to Aura components. In Aura components, bidirectional data transfer takes place. Like when a property that we are passing, when a property is declared in a parent, like if you are sending uh, data from a parent component to the child component, in child component we'll receive the data in a variable. In Aura, we can update the data that we pass it from the parent component to the child component in child component itself. Uh, like there is no need to write a custom event and fire the custom event and pass the event to the parent component and do changes there and then pass the updated variable once again to the child. There is um, no such case in Aura components. Uh, um, that is bidirectional data transfer takes place. We can update the variables in parent component itself, parent component, and we can update the variables in child component itself. But in LWC, like when a data is passed from a parent component to the child component, and if you want the data that you have passed from the parent component to the child component to be updated, that cannot be done in the child component itself. You need to fire a custom event in order to get that done. We'll see more about firing custom events and what is a custom event in our upcoming sessions. Hope this session is clear for this episode. Hope you enjoyed the session. Please do support me by liking, sharing, and subscribing to this channel. Like